Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is William Heinman, and I am your host. This is Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job or they really screw it up. Hey, guys, this one comes from John Bryant, the civil rights lawyer. Please go over to him. Tell him I sent you guys over there. Check him out. I think you'll find he has a lot of good videos. He has a bunch of them with a whole lot of good information. If you would also hit his like and share because it helps his algorithms out. Not that he needs it because he has a gazillion or over 1 million subscribers. I wish I had that many. But with your help, maybe you can get me guys to 3,500. We're almost there, guys. I need your help. Subscribe if you would. Hit the bell icon so you know when I put it in a video. Like and share helps my algorithms. And give me a thumbs up and a comment, okay? With that being said, this young lady, now this happens in Florida, so we're dealing with less than 15 IQs, okay? The sheriff's deputy arrests her, this young lady, right here, and she's held in the jail, even though they know that she's the wrong person. In other words, they arrested the wrong person. Now, it went through Internal Affairs, and guess what Internal Affairs said? Well, you followed protocol. You did your job. Good job, man. These guys are morons. Internal Affairs, the deputy, the sheriff, because if the sheriff allowed this to happen, he's a moron or an idiot or both. It's just, it boggles my mind. Let's check this out, guys. Let's get on the video. Go tell John I said hi, and also subscribe if you would. Thanks.
Police arrested the wrong Jennifer Heath, and I spent my Christmas holidays in jail. How could police think I'm 26 if I have a 30-year-old child?
A Texas woman is hauled off to jail after getting off a cruise ship in Fort Lauderdale.
She's 26 and has a 30-year-old daughter. Her daughter was born 3 years before she was born. Well, that's cool. You got to remember, you're dealing with a 15 IQ, man. It ain't hard to figure out.
Yes, just go home and I'll
There's no way I'm not going to go home without you.
But it turns out this was a case of mistaken identity.
Incompetent police officers in Broward County, Florida, arrested this 50-year-old mother of 3 grown children on a completely different woman's arrest warrant.
Are you serious?
How did this happen, and why did she stay in jail for over 3 days?
It's for endangering a child.
I think you'll have the wrong person.
endangering a child. My kids are grown. They're in college.
They're grown in
30
college
years
and moved
old.
away.
Tragically, Christmas morning, Jennifer woke up in jail. She wasn't given a chance to consult with an attorney, to review the warrant, the charges against her, or to speak to any judge. Fortunately, the Institute for Justice has taken up her case, filed a federal civil rights lawsuit.
And
Now, when this settles, instead of the money coming out of our tax dollars, take it out of the pension funds of these scumbag deputies and the sheriff and the internal revenue or the internal investigators that looked into this. Let them all pay for it.
She's suing the Broward Sheriff's Office and Broward County.
Police cannot overlook obvious evidence that they have the wrong person when making an arrest.
But they got to be smart enough to figure out that 1 and 1 is not 6. And these idiots, these morons, don't have that in their brain.
3 years younger, substantially shorter, had different color hair, different color eyes, different license, and different social security numbers.
But the cops are saying they did nothing wrong.
And no employee misconduct was found. The matter is now closed.
I mean, they were literally captured on video arresting the completely wrong person. How can they say they did nothing wrong? I'll tell you what happened and how you can help join this fight to hold this police department accountable. This is a nightmare story that any one of you could find yourselves in, that your mother, that your grandmother, that your daughter could find themselves in.
Definitely Christmas won't forget.
Have you noticed that everything requires subscriptions? subscriptions these days, your TV, your phone, your computer, hell, even your house. I recently bought a new house and I realized two things. One, I had no idea the vast Jennifer Heath Box. She lives in Richmond, Texas with her husband, Kyle Box. She has 3 adult children and they're all out of the house. In January of 2022, her brother Mark was diagnosed with cancer for a second time. Once doctors confirmed that his treatment was successful and that he was fit to travel, Mark invited Jennifer and her husband Kyle on a cruise to celebrate his health and other milestones that had passed while he was in treatment. Jennifer was elated to have this time with her husband and her brother's family, after which she planned to promptly return home to Texas over the Christmas holidays so that she could spend that time with her children. It was going to be the last time for at least 3 years that she would have all of her children together because her son Joshua had just completed his training with the Marines and he was set to be deployed to Japan for 3 years, beginning December 27th. But unbeknownst to Jennifer, while she and her family were enjoying this celebratory cruise, the Broward County Sheriff's Office in Florida was planning to arrest her for someone else's crime. When Jennifer's cruise ship arrived back at Port Everglades, Florida, early on the morning of Christmas Eve, she and her family began to disembark. Several Broward Sheriff's Office officers, with the help of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, were waiting to arrest her before she could even get off the ship.
When I was disembarking, I went and scanned my photo ID, and at that point in time, it just rang for security. And so they had me step aside, and then at that point in time, we noticed that police were coming on to surround me and my husband.
Scumbag jail? If we verify.
Are you serious?
If we verify.
When Jennifer asked why she was being detained, deputies told her that it was for a warrant. She asked what the warrant was for. Broward Sheriff's Deputy Peraza responded that it was from Harris County, Texas, for endangering a child, specifically for endangering a dependent child under the age of 15.
I have no transportation.
We just told you it's for a warrant.
A warrant for what? Yeah, could you do that?
It has to be verified still anyway.
Still got verified, but I mean,
So-
we're already at this point. It's for endangering a child.
Now, this didn't make sense because Jennifer had no minor children. She had never been arrested before. She's never had any real outstanding warrants. Her husband Kyle immediately said, "I think you have the wrong person."
I think you'll have the wrong person.
But Deputy Jean responded, "That's why we verify."
Endangering a child. Well, that's why we verify.
That's why we're going to verify it.
That's why we
You just have to verify
It's okay.
it there.
But Deputy Peraza, as you'll see, had already made up his mind to arrest Jennifer, stating, "We have to verify, but we're already at this point, so..."
Still got verified, but I mean,
So-
we're already at this point.
Deputy Peraza then asked Jennifer her age. She told him her date of birth, which was from the year 1974.
January 28, 74.
Jennifer telling Deputy Peraza her birth date should have been a giant red flag. The person he had the warrant for was somebody nearly half Jennifer's age. Jennifer handed officers her driver's license and also her passport, both of which contained plenty of information to alert the officers that they had the wrong person.
Okay, but what you guys got to remember is you're dealing with an officer with an IQ of 15 or less.
As Jennifer pointed out to the officers, it was impossible that the warrant was for her because her children were grown and in college.
Endangering a child. What child did I endanger?
You
You have a child? My kids are grown.
You
They're
have
in college.
They're grown in
and 30
college
years
and moved
old.
away.
Like I said, that's why we verify.
Is this something that's out of Florida? I know this is not right. You got 110%.
I don't know what child.
This is absolutely.
My kids are grown.
All right, go ahead and do what I just said, what I had mentioned to you, give them everything. Let me have the phone. Hold on to the phone. So these are the only two things we're going to bring with us. Go ahead and give them the wallet, the purse. Don't take the jewelry off if you want. If you have any necklaces, earrings, go ahead and take that off your belt. Take that off.
Make sure you tell him where you put all the valuables. My jewelry's all in here. Passport, do I need this?
No.
Do you have any piercings? No. I guess just go home and I'll fly
There's
home
no
without
way
her.
I'm not going to go home without you.
Where's home?
Texas, Houston.
To go see our kids.
That's where the warrant is out of, so you're going there.
I don't know what kid I endangered.
She has a necklace.
Just looking at Jennifer should have caused any reasonable officer on the scene to realize that she was not the person they were looking for. There were at least 5 observable differences between Jennifer and the woman that they were looking for. Jennifer was 48 years old, while the warrant sought someone who was 27 years old, nearly half Jennifer's age. Jennifer is 5 inches taller than the suspect. Jennifer has fair skin, while the warrant sought someone with medium-toned skin. Jennifer has light blue-gray eyes, while the warrant sought someone with brown eyes. Jennifer has red hair, while the warrant sought someone with black hair. There were all these discrepancies between the warrant they had and the information available in the National Crime Information Center database. The names were different. The warrant was for Jennifer Del Carmen Heath, while Jennifer's name is Jennifer Heath Box. The suspect's address was an apartment in Houston, Texas, while Jennifer's address was in a different county in Richmond, Texas. They both had different social security numbers. They had different FBI numbers. At the very least, all of these discrepancies would have caused any reasonable police officer to do their basic due diligence to confirm whether the person that they were about to arrest was actually the subject of the arrest warrant.
But keep in mind, you're dealing with somebody with a 15 IQ. They're not smart enough to figure this out. That's why they're morons.
Definitely Christmas won't forget.
We're trying to make it as little as possible money, okay?
And I don't understand why this was Houston. Why did I get arrested when I was in
Just do me a favor, check all over your pockets right now. Just show that weight. Okay.
Go ahead, get rid of that.
Get rid of Check your back pocket, your front pocket, no little, anything small. Your earrings.
I don't have any earrings. This is amazing.
Put your palms together.
Like you're praying.
I was feeling everything from confusion to, frustration, anger, because I knew that this was impossible to have a warrant for child endangerment. And in my mind, all I kept thinking about was, I need to get home to my son because he was leaving on the 27th. And this was Christmas Eve, and this was my last Christmas that I would have all my kids together.
Okay. Oh, you good?
He told Jennifer that the birthday and the name on the warrant matched hers, but that wasn't true. The suspect's full name was Jennifer Del Carmen Heath, not Jennifer Heath Box.
It was Jennifer.
But you got a officer with a 15 IQ. You guys are missing the point.
Edkin Box, B-O-X.
What's your middle name?
It's Heath, H-E-A-T-H.
The video footage shows that Deputy Peraza's actions go well beyond just incompetence. At one point, Deputy Peraza lied to Jennifer and told her that the information on the warrant matched her date of birth and her married name of Box. That was a lie. It did not.
With the same birthday? With the same AKA Box?
No, that's me.
Okay, well that's what we have on the warrant right now.
I'm just saying, I don't have it. That's all. I'm just.
Peraza had also previously told the female deputy before he left, Deputy Jean, that he had, quote, confirmed that Jennifer was the subject of the warrant. In no way did Perez confirm anything.
The suspect was also 23 years younger, substantially shorter, had different color hair, different color eyes, different license, and different social security numbers. Despite that, Peraza still brought the wrong Jennifer to the police station.
I don't think that he was even really hearing me. And I just felt like the whole entire time I just didn't have a voice, that it was just completely lost because in his mind he had his agenda of why he's arresting me.
Because if he arrests you, he gets kudos and starts to move up the ladder. That's the way these scumbags work. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. It's just that they get results. That's it.
Was from July 20th, 2022.
Okay. I was just curious, like I said, 'cause I know I've gotten pulled over before since then in Houston, and I haven't heard anything this year, so I'm just confused with all this. And I don't have a 16-year-old.
There's nothing about a 16-year-old in there.
All my kids are all grown, I guess is what I'm getting at.
You've had no incidences at all whatsoever
Never.
the past couple of years?
I promise you, I'm sure you hear this a lot. Never have. How could police think I'm 26 if I have a 30-year-old child?
Ignoring every indication that he had arrested the wrong person, Deputy Peraza brought Jennifer into the booking station at the Broward County Jail. There, more red flags were ignored. When the BSO officers booked her into the jail, a female jail officer scanned Jennifer's driver's license and informed Deputy Peraza that there were no outstanding warrants attached to Jennifer's driver's license.
Yeah, once again, you have such incompetency. You know, when are we going to start holding these scumbags accountable for their actions? You know, I have qualified immunity. Can I make a plea deal? All this other crap. You know, these scumbags in blue need to go down. That's all there is to it.
And this backed up what Jennifer had told officers all along, that there was no warrant for her arrest, that they had the wrong person. But being representatives of government, the officers once again ignored evidence that was very clear that they had the wrong Jennifer. Unable to admit his mistake, Deputy Peraza convinced the female jail officer that she also should ignore these red flags and all the evidence indicating that there was no probable cause to have this person incarcerated in their jail. All Deputy Peraza had to support his mistaken claim that this was the right person was that Jennifer shared 2/3 of her name with the suspect, and it turned out the suspect's mugshot appeared to look like Jennifer. Then, unbelievably, Deputy Peraza filled out an affidavit in support of Jennifer's arrest, which means under oath, and on that form, Deputy Peraza listed Jennifer's correct identifying information, even though that correct information contradicted the description of the suspect, Jennifer Del Carmen Heath, who was wanted in Texas. So they booked Jennifer into the Broward County Jail anyways. And of course, they also took Jennifer's fingerprints and mugshot. And guess what? The fingerprints did not match, obviously. Jennifer endured a traumatic Christmas in jail.
It was dirty like you would imagine. And then the strip search, you know, it's just humiliating and degrading, you know. Sorry. I mean, it was just, sorry. It was really traumatizing, you know, and that part of it, you know, just because you just felt like you weren't a human anymore.
You got to remember, in the United States, you were guilty till proven innocent. That's the way these clowns work.
They made her strip all of her clothes and conducted a body cavity search. They gave her a prison uniform and a blanket and put her into a cell with other female inmates. The guards were condescending and demeaning anytime she asked a question. In her first night in jail, she witnessed a fight, continuous screaming, yelling, and violence. Guards kept the jail cells ridiculously cold, so cold that the guards wore heavy coats, hats, and gloves, while the inmates, including Jennifer, were given small blankets that were not nearly enough to stay warm. She was forced to shiver all night. Eventually, she laid back to back with a stranger just to try to keep warm. Tragically, Christmas morning, Jennifer woke up in jail. She wasn't given a chance to consult with an attorney, to review the warrant, the charges against her, or to speak to any judge. While in jail, Jennifer was permitted 2 phone calls a day, which she used to communicate with her husband, Kyle, who was keeping her up to date on his efforts and her brother's efforts to get her free. On the afternoon of December 26th, her husband told her that Harris County, Texas, acknowledged her DMV photo had been placed on the suspect's warrant. About an hour later, a jail official came to Jennifer's cell and told her that Broward Sheriff's Office knew she was not the person who was wanted in Harris County. For a split second, Jennifer thought this nightmare was finally over, but her hopes were quickly crushed. She was told that despite their mistake, the only way for her to go free was if Harris County officials came to get her or arrested the correct Jennifer Heath. She was told this could take up to 30 days, if they came at all. She was devastated. Broward Sheriff's Office continued then to hold Jennifer in custody for the remainder of December 26th into the morning of December 27th, even though they now knew that she should not have ever been detained in the first place. And as a result of that, she was forced to endure another night of cold, uncomfortable, traumatizing conditions. She was finally released from custody at 9:50 a.m. on the morning of December 27th, 2022, over 75 hours after her wrongful arrest. And by that time, it was already too late to celebrate Christmas with her children, and worst of all, too late to say goodbye to her son Joshua before he left for his deployment to Japan. To this day, nearly 2 years later, Jennifer still has not had all of her 3 children together as she would have. And to date, she has never received an apology or an explanation for why the Broward Sheriff's Office mistook her for Jennifer Del Carmen Heath. When she was released, Broward Sheriff's Office personnel simply told her, hey, it happens.
While I was in jail, I had missed out on Christmas Eve. I missed out on Christmas Day with my kids. I missed out on my family time together. I took my brother away from his family on Christmas because they spent their time trying to get me out of jail. I didn't get to see my son off to the airport for him to be stationed over to Japan for the U.S. Marines. I missed out on everything. I missed out on all my family time with my kids. I missed out on having those moments, having, photos and pictures and memories. I missed out on all the opportunities.
And Broward County remains defiant. They've maintained publicly that Deputy Peraza followed the department protocols when he arrested Jennifer in the face of overwhelming evidence that he had the wrong person. Broward Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Division reviewed the incident and confirmed that the officers followed Broward Sheriff's Office protocols and did not violate any BSO policies or practices when they detained Jennifer for over 75 hours.
Now, wait a minute. Didn't they question when she was being booked and they found no warrants? That was not against the rules? Really?
Without even confirming that she was the correct person on the warrant.
BSO sent us a statement saying they sympathize with Mrs. Box. They also say, in part, had it not been for the arrest warrant filed by the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Customs and Border Patrol would have not flagged Miss Box. BSO would have not been notified and she would not have been arrested. They go on to say, the actions of the BSO deputy involved in arresting Ms. Box were reviewed by the Broward Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Division, and no employee misconduct was found. The matter is now closed.
And isn't that just a shame that this entire unit of internal affairs for this large county in South Florida reviewed this entire thing and they were unable to find any misconduct there? Crazy, right? Well, don't worry, because Jennifer reached out to the Institute for Justice and they agreed to take her case. If you've watched a lot of my videos, then you know who the Institute for Justice is. I have my own custom donation link for them in the description of every video. But in case you don't know, IJ is a nonprofit public interest law firm. Their mission is to end widespread abuses of government power and to secure the constitutional rights that allow all Americans to pursue their dreams. It's a national civil liberties law firm that represents everyday people free of charge when the government violates their most important constitutional rights. They win nearly 3 out of every 4 cases that they file, despite how incredibly difficult it is to litigate against our government. They very kindly put together this document called a complaint, also known as a federal civil rights lawsuit, that explains in great detail over dozens and dozens and dozens of pages exactly what misconduct occurred, who did it, when they did it, how they did it, the evidence that exists that they did it, and that also lays out why that misconduct violated Jennifer's constitutional rights. This is IJ lawyer Jared McClain, who is handling Jennifer's case.
Holding someone in jail without a good reason to believe that they've committed a crime violates the Fourth Amendment and the right to due process. Police cannot overlook obvious evidence that they have the wrong person when making an arrest. And when they do, they must be held accountable.
I just hope to hold those accountable for what they did, but also to get justice.
And basically, the law is as simple as that. While a warrant to arrest somebody is a judicial determination that there's probable cause to arrest the subject of the warrant, a warrant for one person does not give probable cause to police to arrest some other person, even with a similar sounding name. When officers have reason to believe that the person that they plan to arrest is not the actual subject of the arrest warrant that they plan to execute, they must either stop and confirm that this is the correct person, or they have to abandon the arrest. BSO officers here should have realized that there was no warrant for the arrest of this Jennifer, and they should have done that before ever even confronting her and detaining her in December of 2022. All the information that the officers needed to verify that she was a different person was readily available. All of these discrepancies that we discussed already would have caused any reasonable officer to then do some basic due diligence to confirm that this is actually the right person. There's overwhelming evidence here that every government employee involved in this acted unreasonably. At best, at worst, once they found out that this was the wrong person, they ignored the truth to cover their own asses. It's fantastic that the IJ has taken up Jennifer's case, but they are a nonprofit law firm. They rely on donations. The government has a never-ending supply of your money to gaslight the public and pretend like they did nothing wrong. Whereas the IJ is funded by people from this audience, by patriots from across the country, by individual citizens who feel strongly about the fight to protect our constitutional rights. This audience has raised a lot of money for the IJ in the past, and this case is a worthy cause to continue doing that. This is a nightmare story that any one of you could find yourselves in, that your mother, that your grandmother, that your daughter could find themselves in. You can help right now to fund this litigation, to keep these IJ lawyers working around the clock to sue every government employee that was involved in this case, from Deputy Peraza all the way down to the Jane Doe jail guards that we don't even know their names yet. It's all going to take litigation, lawyers, paralegals, filing fees, depositions. It costs a lot of money to do this. Let's fill their war chest to help ensure that they win. And I'll continue following this one. And if you want to follow along, please subscribe both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. Our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.
Okay, guys, so you tell me what you think. Was this a sham from the beginning? And let me know what you think in the comments. Remember, don't trust the police because they're not your friends.